And we are going to protect our truth tellers and no longer bury them like we had to Babita Diokaran, who's actually involved in this very case with this clown cat that carries on and terrorizing people in Mamelodi, outside Pretoria where I grew up. We can't build a lawful country if we keep betraying the people who are trying to clean it up. This is the very man that also, mind you, exposed the assassination plot and foiled the assassination plot against Madiba in 1994. That's how we treat our national heroes. So that's why Neil walked away, I walked away, and we're grateful for this.
Guys, so more SAPS officials seem to have been emboldened by General Makuanazi and are beginning to come up to speak up because, it appears as though there had been a cloud over many SAPS officials who really wanted to speak out regarding what's really going on in South Africa. And General Makuanazi decided to blow the whole thing up. By that clandestine press release he actually gave. And so I think this video is really interesting for us to really understand, the character of what's really happening now in South Africa. Brad Stein actually exposing some deep truths on why General Makuanazi decided to go the route he actually went. Because many people were really beginning to wonder, why is it that this high top general would decide to come and become a whistleblower in this way? I think General Makuanazi just had it. He couldn't take it anymore. And this is actually some of the things Brad Stein is actually alluding to in this video, arguing that, it appears that South Africa has been a society for a long time that actually betrays and buries its whistleblowers. This takes me to the last video I made when I was really trying to understand why it is that there were many people in South Africa. They were trying to ask for a law to protect whistleblowers, because the whistleblowers were actually becoming a major issue, especially to probably people who might be guilty of some crime or the other. And so at the end of the day, whoever becomes a whistleblower ends up probably disappearing of some point and all of that. So I think this is something that Brad Stein is alluding to here, that he gives a really interesting set of examples of even during the apartheid era, there was a guy who was actually, who foiled an attempt to assassinate President Mandela. But, he ended up being betrayed, buried, and all of that. And as a result, it seems that General Makuanazi had observed the trend and decided to blow everything up. He actually is giving more details. And I think there's a video after Max Stein's video I'll be playing here about this former top cop. His name is Mpo Kwinika. Also exposing a lot of betrayal he got. Especially from his perspective, he argues that he sent a letter to the presidency about a certain, Gauteng, provincial commissioner of Gauteng. I think this commissioner now was General Mawela. I'm about to do my own research on that whole incident. But he argued that he felt as though this general hadn't been acting at par, especially regarding a meritocratic stance to which he would have gotten promotions and all of that. He argues that there were some times he was really angry that, the schools being burnt, schools were burning in Gauteng, and he wrote to the presidency and all of that. But still, the whole protocol really got him limited. And at the end of the day, he says that he almost lost everything for doing good. You see, that his interview comes after Brad Stein's video. I think it's really important to really understand why, it appears as though crime has been multiplying in South Africa, because probably some cops in South Africa think that even if they approach the higher authorities, they will be sent back to the Department of the Police, from where they actually have observed the rot to try to clean up. And at the end of the day, justice, especially in the language and in the words of Brad Stein, has been sent to coma in South Africa going for really explosive expose revelations by these two videos, Brad Stein and this top cop who has decided to come up now to really expose some of the hidden details that had been going on in SAPS going forward. I was really blown away by his expose. He argues that, right now, it seems that he might even lose his pension. He has lost almost everything for trying to speak up and try to fight for accountability and ethical leadership in the police force. So I think these are some of the things General Makuanazi had been observing for a long time and decided to to just come to the open and really blow things up. And what General Makuanazi has blown up is leading to a chain of reactions, a chain of arrests, a chain of expositions. Unfortunately, this MMC in the Patriotic Alliance, Kenny Kunene, who was found at the house of this guy who was arrested, Katiso Molefe, has actually resigned from being an MEC for road transport in Johannesburg, and also will be taking a break from, I think, being a political rep for the Patriotic Alliance. So the expositions are actually just rolling in non-stop. And I think this is actually one of the reasons why General Makuanazi had to go the route. But let's quickly listen to this powerful expose from Brad Stein and this top cop who has come out now to really expose he sounds to me like somebody who is tired of just keeping all these secrets to himself, and he decided to come to newsroom to expose a lot of scary things that have been going on during when he was a police officer, but then was fired, or probably he lost his job, or he was kicked out of SAPS because of his pursuit for truth, accountability, and justice, according to him, allegedly. But let's quickly listen and then we'll judge for ourselves. Brad Stein exposing one of the main truths on why General Makuanazi came out to whistle blow the way he did, and this top cop, Mpho Kwinika, who was kicked out from SAPS for trying to expose some rot going on in SAPS. Now he's exposing and actually revealing some deep, dark issues that really probably shouldn't have come to the open. Share your thoughts, guys, in the comments.
Yeah. General Lucky Makuanazi. Yeah, what a brave man, and what an incredibly rare act of courage in a culture of silence, and where people walk on eggs because they're scared they're going to get poisoned, assassinated. Look, yeah, Makuanazi is not the first police general to risk his career by speaking to power. Jeremy Veery did it. Actually, with the Sithole grabbers, they blew the whistle along with Andre Lincoln and General Peter Jacobs. They were like, President Ramaphosa has used this illegal intelligence classified software to further his own political agenda. And then we've seen people like Colonel Kenya. The difference is that I think General Lucky Makuanazi was inspired by Minor Neil de Beer's former handler, Andre Lincoln, who became a general, who ran the anti-gang unit, and who's blown the whistle on a few things that were wrong. And I don't know if it is because when my brother and I handed that list of the Scaris and Pimpis to Andre and to Jeremy, and then they handed it to Jonah Klala. And then there's that famous, I suggest your viewers here go and have a look at the interview with Blade, Comrade Blade, where he talks about this infamous list that Madiba came and he said he didn't know how to deal with it, and it was very troubling. And at the end of the day, we have a term in the intelligence community where somebody gets burnt. I don't know, there's that TV show, The Burn Notice. So it's a real thing. And I think Jeremy and Andre got burnt because, hulle skrikkie vir koue pop daai ouens, and they're brave guys. They grew up on the Cape Flats. They didn't run away and go into exile. They stayed in our country and they fought for our people. These are true heroes. So, I think that when I saw Lucky Makuanazi with that other general in the Western Cape that we're not too crazy about, I rather wish Makuanazi stood up and did the state eulogy. But yeah, well, who am I to ask? But what I think was Makuanazi, Neil was there at the funeral, Jeremy Vieri was there, and myself, and as we lay our friend and our brother and our hero to rest at the state funeral. And Alan Busak stood up and he said, Andre died of a broken heart, and that's true. And I think it's lit a fire in a lot of us to do the right thing. And that's why I do the activism I do. And that's why my brother Neil de Beer left the ANC and said, bugger these guys. And later on, I left the ANC because we know about all this nonsense. People think Jacob Zuma knows about all the skeletons in the closets, etc. We are intelligence veterans, and we know what happens in the background, and we know what's going on. And Lucky Makuanazi is hurtful because he has seen what happens to Schalkenia, to Peter Jacobs, to Vieri and Lincoln when they go the legitimate route and they follow procedures and they are disciplined. They get burnt. They get thrown under the bus. Andre Lincoln was vilified. He ended up having to mow lawns and clean people's gardens because he was put on suspension. For years, he fought court cases. They threw so many charges at him and they all got thrown out. And he still hasn't been paid and back paid. And his widow's struggling today. This is the very man that also, mind you, exposed the assassination plot and foiled the assassination plot against Madiba in 1994. That's how we treat our national heroes. So that's why Neil walked away. I walked away. And we're hurtful for this circus. The kakanara here. It's unethical. So when Lucky Makuanazi was inspired by this because he knew Vieri and Lincoln very well, especially Lincoln, they worked very well together and very closely together on high-level crime situations. So him not following the protocol of cap in hand, I'm sorry, but I need to report this, and then it just gets pushed under the rug. MKWANAZI is like, no way, I'm done with this. I need to not follow protocol anymore, and he had to step up and shake up the system. His revelations have exposed SAPS deeply politicized, meaning that our national security and law enforcement clusters are not run in an apolitical manner, which they should be. There should be no political agendas when it comes to safety and security in our nation. So, he's an incredibly brave man, and yeah, I'm very proud of him, and I know Neil's very proud of him as well. And, but we have bigger problems. We have captured national security cluster, including the Office of National Intelligence, that has conveniently been moved into the union buildings, a highly irregular move with these Minister Chaveni, this lady that has corruption and a stink around her that it's quite unsightly. So, the special inquest is not just what happened. It's a line in the sand. And we are going to protect our truth tellers and no longer bury them like we had to Babita Deokaran, who's actually involved in this very case with this clown cat that carries on and terrorizing people in Mamelodi, outside Pretoria where I grew up. We can't build a lawful country if we keep betraying the people who are trying to clean it up.
Watching news at Prime.